Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm your girl Leti.
I'm LB.
And let's talk about the fight this weekend. So we have Frank Martin out of Indiana,
AKA the Ghost.
Yep, versus Jackson Marinez, Dominican boxer. So tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, so when I saw this fight get announced, I was excited for this fight because you know this was a first step up. This was a step up for Frank Martin. And so I was excited to see that. His last fight out, you know, he had a great performance against Romero Duno. We saw Romero Duno fight Ryan Garcia, and you know Ryan Garcia slept him with the left hook, stopped him with the left hook. So that was his last performance. So I was excited to see him in there with Marinez. Marinez, we saw him in there with Rolando Romero.
Which you thought he won that fight.
Which I thought he won. Many people thought he won that fight. And so instead of him getting the nod or even a draw, they actually just gave Rolly the win and actually didn't even do the rematch. So after that fight, you know, Marinez, he ended up fighting Richard Comey. And, you know, Richard Comey ended up stopping him. But before he was stopped, he was winning. You know, he did a good job boxing and he was winning the rounds. Comey's known to have power. So for those reasons, I was excited for the fight. We already know Frank Martin is trained by the legendary trainer, Derrick James, a.k.a. Trainer of the Year, a.k.a. Trainer of the Decade, coming soon, possibly.
Damn, like that.
But, you know, so, you know, those are some of the reasons why I was excited. And also, he's promoted by the Big Fish Errol Spence Jr.
You know what, talk about that real quick. It's so fun to watch, to see Errol, like, you know, as a promoter, his swag is just so different, you know, seeing him on there. You just got to see a different side of him, like a businessman, you know? And I kind of liked it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say it was nice to see him in his promoter's hat, and it's definitely gonna be a different feeling when you have someone like him calling out other fighters and stuff for his fighter because he's
pound for pound.
Exactly, and he's respected by these fighters. So you know,
so if he calling them out, you guys come out.
Exactly, and yeah, and that's exactly what Errol did after the fight. You know, he was talking about Rolly Romero. He was talking about like, oh yeah, you know, we might knock out Rolly Romero next.
Hey, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight.
Hey, I know. And then he was like, and then they were like, oh, you know, is he ready for Rolly Romero? And he goes, honestly, I think we need to be asking, is Rolly ready for Frank Martin, considering he did it better and got the knockout? Yeah. So yeah, why don't you kind of give me your thoughts on this fight?
Well, you know, I'm getting a little bit more familiar with Frank Martin. I did like that from the jump. You know, I like a defensive fighter. I really do. I like it when a fighter knows how to use his defense. Okay. And every time, you know, he threw a punch, his hand came up real quick, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Or if he was like, you know, he was always just, you know, guarded up. And he used a lot of levels, you know. He's high, he's low, looking for the angles, moves around the ring very well. And I really like that about him.
Yeah, and another thing about him that he is really good, and it doesn't shock me, is the fact of how well he goes to the body. You know, he was really doubling up the jab and then throwing the left straight to the body. But it doesn't shock me considering, you know, he's the stablemate of Errol Spence, who is arguably the best body puncher in the game right now. So, you know, I was excited to see that. Another thing is when it comes to, you know, you kind of talked about his defense, and yeah, Frank Martin has good footwork. You know, he did throw some pivots in there, and he did a good job of keeping his head off of the line from returning fire. You know, he was also a very explosive fighter, and when he cut the distance, it was fast, and he came with explosive combinations.
Yeah, and I think he was conditioned. Like I said, I was talking like towards even the end of the rounds, I was like, he still looks like, you know, like fresh throughout the whole fight. Like he could keep going. I feel like his conditioning was very well.
Yeah, his conditioning was definitely on point. And also you know, his counter punching, like his counter left hand, he loves to throw that counter left hand. He's good at timing it. You know, so you know, it was good to see him do that. We saw him fight different styles throughout the fight. We saw him, you know, coming forward. There was times in the fight where he was walking down, kind of like Tank did, where he's parrying. You know, and then we also saw him on the back foot where he was giving us different looks and using the ring. So, you know, he definitely has, you know, all the tools, but, you know, I think it's just all about it, you know, him getting the experience and putting it all together.
And, yes, like, so I think as, you know, as long as his opponents continue to get better, we're going to be able to see a lot more from him.
And another thing to kind of go with that, you know, another story about him is the fact that he started boxing when he was 18 years old.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, especially in the lighter weights, that's really unheard of. You know, in the heavier weights, you see heavyweights start later, but for him to have all these different skills and all these different intangibles with only starting at 18 is really something to see.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really something to see. So, but yeah, like you said, as the opponents get, I only expect him to to get better.
More and more challenges on a higher level.
Yeah.
So and again, not to take away nothing from Marinez, I think he did great. He's a good boxer. He was putting the pressure on him also, and he was taking punches like a champ.
He was exactly.
He was getting hit with them punches, and he was swallowing them. Yeah,
and especially, I mean, you definitely got to tip your hat to him because he was taking this fight on a short notice
just
too.
Like a 9-day notice, I think.
Yeah, for him to do that, on a short notice,
that just means he stay ready, so he ain't got to get ready.
You're right. But yeah, he did do good. His most success in the fight was him leading with the right hand. He was able to land the right, the right hand, whether he was leading with a straight right or leading with a uppercut. He was able to have success. It's funny that we kind of talked about the best round for Frank Martin. When he started to turn it up was the 7th round. And it doesn't shock me that it was right after the 6th round where Marinez landed the most punches he's landed on Frank Martin and actually had success in that 6th round. I would have wished we could have got in the corner after the 6th to hear what Derek James said to get
him up because
he came out turned up after that.
The 7th round he came in and we were like, whoa, okay, it was just a whole different fight game that he was coming out to do. But though on the 9th round is when I believe he knocked Marinez down. So after the 8th round in the corner, you did hear though Derek James tell him, I forgot what he said, but something
pick up
about
the pace.
Pick it up or kind of like something. He told him something, and then he came out, and that's when he knocked him out in the 9th round.
But yeah, he knocked him down in the 9th round. I mean, the fight did start slow, but Frank Martin was actually, he was breaking him down. I think those body shots, along with the short notice, tend to have the best of Marinez in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frank Martin did turn it up in the 7th round, and he did break him down, and he got the job done in impressive fashion. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, with that being said, who do you want to see Frank Martin fight next? We already know how this division is loaded.
Man, I wouldn't mind seeing him against Rolly. I think Lara Spence called it. I think that would be a great fight. Because since Marinez beat him, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight against him. His fight coming back from the loss, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
And like you already said, Errol already put his He already been promoting it. You know what I mean? He already been promoting it. So
talking about the promoter though, who would you say jumped in the mix? One in the smoke.
Oh, so Errol put on his promoter hat. Errol put on his promoter hat again, and he called out Chris Colbert on Twitter. He said, he done messed up, right? And then Chris Colbert, he pretty much said, orchestrated like, I think you should fight Frank Martin. So yeah, that's those are the 2 fights that Errol's been talking about. But there's so many fighters in the PBC that they have. They got Pitbull Cruz.
They got Rayo.
You got Jose Rayo Valenzuela. We like Rayo. We got Rolando Romero that we said over there. Of course, we got Tank Davis. We even got Michelle Rivera. Over there. Yes, Muhammad Ali reincarnated. That's what he calls himself. There's so many fights to make. Me personally, I think any of those fights, but I think the Rolly fight should be the one. You know what I mean? It's already been promoted. Errol brought up Chris Colbert, but Chris Colbert came from a lower division at 130. So and he didn't even seem he didn't seem like a big guy like that to move up from 130. I mean, in my opinion. So I wouldn't really like that, but I think that the being the fact that You know, they have the same opponent in Marinez, and he did better. You know, Rolly's made his name, you know, fighting Tank. I think it would be a good fight for both. Both, and like Errol said on the Showtime press conference, you know, Rolly needs to, get a good win under his belt. And, you know, it's just a great opportunity for both of them.
Yeah.
But the main fight, we kind of talked about, I think that's going to be later down the road, is going to be him and Rayo, I'd like to see.
Yeah, I like to see Rayo against anybody.
And speaking of Rayo said, Rayo, man, he wanted all the smoke too, because Errol on Twitter told him, he was like, didn't tell him. Errol on Twitter said, yeah, I'm going to have to talk to your people, when he was talking to Chris Colbert, and Rayo jumped in the mix like, talk to my people, you know. So yeah, I like that. You know what? It's something.
He don't care. He want to fight anybody.
It's something that in that Benavidez water over there. They all move like that, from the dad all the way to the whole stable. So I like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's so many fights for PBC to make. But I think the Rolly one makes the most sense. And to kind of another reason it makes sense is, you know, that could be lining Frank Martin up for a Tank Davis fight. And, you know, they've had history of sparring. And, you know, Frank Martin, you know, he did well. You know, it's been talked about that he did well in Gervonta, which kind of got him buzzing a little bit. So, you know, who knows? You know, I think that would kind of, you know, create more opportunities.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was a good performance by Frank Martin. Okay. Can't wait to see him get back in the ring and see what other improvements he makes. Or, you know, who he gets matched up with in this, in that, you know, exciting 135-pound division.
It's a lot of good fighters.
But that's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit. And we are.